Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Just top.
This 2026 Masters Update live from Augusta is brought to you by Copper Rock, where the pros play on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ PK, and we are joined by Bob Casper. Bob, good morning.
Good morning, boys. How you doing?
We're doing well. You were wandering the course, and we are led by television, and they cut to whoever they cut to, so we see some stuff live, and we see some other stuff on tape. What did you see that maybe we didn't get to that you found really interesting?
Well, that the course played a little bit easier in the morning yesterday and a lot tougher in the afternoon, and vice versa. It's going to play that way again today.
How cool would it be for the game of golf, and this is the last time we'll talk to you this week when we get to Sunday, and it is McIlroy and Scheffler dueling it out?
Oh, would that be awesome or what?
It would be, yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing about golf, okay? Because it's an individual sport, you're playing 72 holes. After 54, whoever could be in the final group with, Sam Burns. And Sam Burns would be a phenomenal champion this week. He's a great player. Unbelievable. But if you were to have McIlroy and Scheffler in the final group, it would be off the charts ratings. Yeah. It would be off the charts viewership. And it would be so cool to see those guys fight it out neck and neck. What would be really cool is if they were tied at 8 under par or 10 under par or whatever. And then it's just mano a mano the whole way. Be really cool.
That's what I'm rooting for.
Yep. That's what I would root for too. So, yeah.
Is Sam Burns just a guy who gets his name up on the leaderboard early? These things happen, or is there something about his game that he's built to stay up there?
Well, he's a winner on tour, that's for sure. I think he's won 5 or 6 times on tour. He's Scotty Scheffler's best friend, so I'm sure he's played practice rounds with Scotty this week every day. Okay, so he's learning and he's gleaning from Scotty what you need to do to get around this golf course. He is a phenomenal putter, and if he can hit the ball off the tees and into the greens like he did yesterday, Sam Burns will be around because of that. So the thing that's really cool about Augusta is they make the golf course pretty difficult for the first 3 days, and especially this week since we're not going to have any weather, and it's going to be sunny, and the golf course is going to get drier and faster, and the greens are going to get firmer and that kind of thing. But on Sunday, especially on the back nine, they start putting the flags in areas where guys can get the balls to them easier. The ball funnels a little bit more into those areas and stuff like that. And then it promotes good scoring, especially on the back nine. They want to hear the roars. They want to see guys have an opportunity to make eagles and all that kind of stuff. So if Sam Burns can hang around till Sunday, I think he's going to have a really good chance, and seeing him up there is really good. He would be a great champion too.
Tom Watson went strong on the tour for letting these live guys back. What'd you think of that?
I thought it was kind of interesting because initially, like he said, the commissioner came out and said, lifetime ban, and those guys will never be able to come back. Well, then about a year and a half or 2 years later, they had that framework agreement with LIV to kind of welcome them back. And then that takes forever to go along. And then now we get a new basic commissioner of the PGA Tour, and the rumblings were that a couple of guys wanted to come back, and so they created this special category for them to be able to come back and pay compensation for what the harm that they had done to the tour. And Brooks Koepka came back, and Patrick Reed looks like he's going to come back. And so they're the only ones that kind of took advantage of it. Bryson had an opportunity to take advantage of it, and that window supposedly is closed now. But I agree. Tom Watson came down strong on it, and he was definitely in his rights to be able to do that. Now the guy that they're going to have the worst trouble with, and I think the most trouble with, is going to be Phil Mickelson, because Phil Mickelson blatantly went out and talked crud against the PGA Tour and really kind of stirred things up and was actively recruiting players away from the PGA Tour and everything. I think Phil Mickelson has cooked his goose, and that's never going to happen again.
I get why people feel like to turn, their sides, and you turned your back on the PGA Tour and you're banned. I get that, except the PGA Tour, the thing I've always heard is they're independent contractors. Nothing's guaranteed. Well, if they're independent contractors, why can't they go play over there?
Well, so there's stipulations in the membership rules and stuff that you have to get releases to play when there's a PGA Tour event opposite. So then it doesn't hurt the product of the PGA Tour. And you can get releases. You can get releases to do that. But this was creating a league or tour that would be in direct confrontation or direct competition with the PGA Tour. And it was created by another former PGA Tour player in Greg Norman, who said basically and came out and said that this is going to be the premier tour, and the PGA Tour would be the feeder tour into that. So when those types of things happen, when Phil Mickelson is actively recruiting players to come over, and these guys are all getting the bag full of money and everything. At some point, they realize that the competition is not the best. The competition is not the elite. The courses that they're playing on are not set up to make them play their best in the game or help them to play their best in the game. And then when they go out and they compete, 2 or 3 years down the road, they can't compete. Because they're not being pushed, they're not being challenged by the competition that they're playing in, and that's why guys are starting or wanting to come back.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
With the no rain and ball landing hard and running off greens and whatnot, does it favor, and it probably is always, but does it favor longer hitters?
Well, length is always going to be the thing that helps more than anything in the game. Length is, guys are hitting wedges in instead of 7 irons,
right?
For on holes and
these
stuff
conditions
like that.
more so.
Yep. Yeah. Well, yeah. Part of that is going to do that. I mean, when there was a lot of moisture, the year Mike Weir won, okay. It rained like gangbusters. And because it did that, then the longer hitters weren't able to take advantage of the par fives like they always do.
Right.
And, Mike was laying up every par five and wedging it close and making birdies, and he ended up winning the golf tournament. Well, when it's crispy and it's fast, the longer hitters are able to hit it further. But what will hold them in check is the firmness of the greens and the pin positions. So, as I said earlier, the firmness of the greens and the pin positions, they're going to be tough for the next today and tomorrow. And then it's going to loosen up a little bit for Sunday, and we're going to see a shootout. So, yeah, length is huge, and if you can hit the ball a long ways, it's definitely an advantage.
You've been kind enough to bring home some Masters merchandise over the years and spread it around to some of your friends on the Wasatch Front. I just saw a report that the Masters is going to do $70 million in merchandise sales this week.
That's correct.
They're selling $1 million an hour, and I thought, oh, that's online. And then the story said that's not online. That's all in person.
No online. No. The only place you can get Masters stuff is here this week. Masters merch. Yep, it's no online sales. There's a secondary market because people come in and get stuff and then turn around and sell it. But the only place you can get Masters merchandise is here this week of the Masters, to the tune of about, like you said, $70 million.
So yesterday we went out to eat with some friends. You know them. And my wife puts on this green sweatshirt, and it has 5 numbers on it, and I'm gonna give you those numbers, and they were small, so the whole thing is green, and then in white, the numbers 30906. You know what that means?
30906.
Yes, and I didn't know what it meant.
Is that a
have
zip
no
code?
idea.
Yes, it is Augusta, Georgia zip code, and she went online and bought it.
I like that. That is so cool. Wow, 30906.
Yeah, so we're out,
Yep.
and you know Gordon Monson, so we're the 4 of us are out,
Yeah.
and we're talking golf a little bit because they know we're way into it. My wife's into it too, and Gordon figured it out. You weren't green because of the Masters? Because we started talking golf. Yeah. And is that the zip code? Yeah.
Yep. Oh, good for him.
He got it.
Of course. He's a pretty analytical mind, so yeah, I expected that from him.
And I had been with her for about an hour with that sweatshirt on, and it didn't even register to me.
That's that good old ASU.
Right over the old noggin.
Yep. Oh, that's funny. That's pretty good. I like that.
How far down the leaderboard is the drop zone where it's just like, you can't come back from that? I don't know if it's 2 over, 4 over. What is it?
I would say it's probably pretty close to 2 over par. But the last 6 Masters have been won by, after the first round, the guys in the top 10. So, and you look at this leaderboard, you've got Rory McIlroy, major championship winner; Jason Day, major championship winner; Patrick Reed, major championship winner; Shane Lowry, major championship winner; Xander Schauffele, Justin Rose, Scotty Scheffler, major championship winners. There's Gary Woodland, tied for 10th, major championship winner. So when you look at the guys that are at the top of the leaderboard right now, within the top 10, and there's what, about 16 or 18 players, I would think that you got to be pretty certain that the winner's going to come from that top 10 right now.
Yeah.
And so if McIlroy gets it done, does he solidify himself as the greatest of his era?
Well, yeah, I would think he would be the next era down after Tiger Woods.
Right.
He would have 30-something wins and 6 major championships and back-to-back winner of the Masters, which has only been done 3 times by Tiger, Jack, and Faldo. Career Grand Slam winner. Yeah, he will definitely be in the Hall of Fame, and he will, of his era, I would think he would be considered probably the best, no doubt.
Bob Casper joining us from Augusta, Georgia. He and Brian have Real Golf Radio. Real Golf Radio brought to you by Mountain America Credit Union, Mountainland Supply, Black Desert Resort, Hoops Vision, and You Win a Golf. What do you have coming up on the show tomorrow, 8 to 10 here on The Zone?
Well, we got little snippets yesterday from both the guys that have won at the Black Desert Resort or Black Desert Utah Championship. Mm-hmm. So we've got a little bit from them. We'll have some guys on from the Golf Channel, some European writers, and we're just going to discuss what's going on with this year's Masters, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be a great show.
All right, 8 to 10 tomorrow morning right here on The Zone with Bob and Brian from Augusta. Bob, thanks for joining us. I don't know about our picks, Bob. I don't know.
Well, Xander Schauffele's right there. He's at 2 under par. He's my regional pick.
Yeah.
How about that John Rahm yesterday? Boy, he didn't play very good.
No, there was a thing there where they're saying that Fred Couples, before he blew up, was playing better than all the live guys.
Well, the lowest guy is Sergio, who has won here before, and he's at even par. Everybody else is over par.
Yeah.
And that's what I was trying to say when we talked about the scale of competition with live as compared to the scale of competition with the DP World Tour and the PGA Tour.
Oh, I think it's undeniable.
Yeah, and as much as the competition, how difficult are their courses? Because when I do watch either highlights or whatever, it's like, well, I don't know how fast these greens are. I don't know, I don't know. Yep,
exactly.
The live
and the interesting thing is, you can take a thing from college football or professional football or whatever. When a coach gets fired, he's got his certain amount of recruits, and if they play well the next year, well, everybody says, well, that's only because he had his guys. He had the guys on his team that stuck around from the former coach.
Right.
Well, it's kind of like the same thing. Brooks won the PGA Championship, but he had been playing on the PGA Tour the year before, and Bryson won the U.S. Open. He had been playing on the PGA Tour, honing his skills on the PGA Tour, the last year and a half prior to. Now that we've gone 3 or 4 years, now's when you're starting to see the drop off.
Yeah. All right, Bob, we appreciate it. Going out there, watch some golf,
guys.
Enjoy the Masters. Don't get caught in those long lines selling. Maybe the lines aren't that long though. You got to move that line through if you're going to sell like $1 million an hour. It's got to.
Oh, I know. It's pretty crazy. Yeah. They're swiping cards like mad.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, guys. Take care.
All right, there's Bob Casper. Bob and Brian will be on all day on all the shows today, and you'll hear them tomorrow morning from 8 to 10. David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, joins us next. The morning of the season home finale. David's next. Stay with us.